time for accidentally live stream. What you hear is my music. I made last year. Yeah, relaxing. Yeah, today it is about, let me change it here. It is about a blog post I wrote. That blog post is about operator development, and I want to go with you through that blog post and provide you some additional information. And I prepared that stream a bit, yeah, so that you have additional possibilities in that stream to follow, yeah, in addition to that blog post. But I will reuse and refer very often to that blog post. So with that, I will start with the content, and the content is that we will start with the objectives, and you know, I like the magic of OBS I use here for the string, and it's always, yeah, I know I always say the same phrase, but I really like that. It's that now here I am big, and now I disappear and I come back in a smaller format. Hello. Yeah, that's the blog post we will use, and I will refer to what is the content here. So maybe you have seen what is the content of the description of that blog of that live stream. So we simply want to get a front-end application running, yeah, on IBM Cloud, a Kubernetes cluster. I use my private account for the Kubernetes cluster, and that's a free Kubernetes cluster. And if you want to do that, yeah, you can also run it on IBM Cloud. But the blog post talks about the Minikube, so you can also use Minikube for that example. So what we will do, we go forward here. For sure, we're using an operator. Yeah, we do use Go operator SDK, and we do local development. We use Visual Studio Code. You have already seen here. Maybe when I go here, there I prepared the Visual Studio Code here, and then we use the Kubernetes on IBM Cloud, as I said. Yeah, so that is what the situation is. What I like also to provide, I like to draw diagrams for better understanding, and I also provide here in that stream additional diagrams we use in addition to the blog post, and also for the starting point I want to introduce here. So the starting point now, as you know, it's related to my existing blog post here. To make this very transparent to you, we're doing really local development. Later on we will use the browser. Yeah, we're running the operator only locally for the development. We take a look very closely on the reconcile inside that operator. So that means here the operator, the responsibility is to observe here what happens inside the Kubernetes cluster with custom resources. Yeah, so we'll take a look at that. And we have the Kubernetes cluster worker node, and we use the default namespace. I already provided on Quay a container image for that application we are going to deploy. And let me start. Yeah, that's the starting point. And with that, we go to the blog post. And here I also point out that the front-end application, if you want to know more about the front-end application, what the context of that front-end application is, you can see here there is an open source multi-cloud asset built for SaaS, and you can here take a look on the documentation, and in that context I use that front-end application. That front-end application we will use but without any really working environment. So that means we let just the front-end application running, and we will not use any authentication and showing data and so on. That's not the objective. It's just to get something running and understand how a deployment works, and not using the memcache. Yeah, we know all the memcache stuff, but when you already started with operators, you sure know memcache. Yeah. As an example, which is provided by the operator SDK itself. So you can see also when you take a look at my blog post, I always try to make it really easy navigable for you, so that you not have to search. You can directly click on. So I can see here, and when you here see the documentation how to build, there is also there are also some good introductions, and they're using the memcache example. So, but I wanted in that case to get something running by myself. So here is a different overview that really gives what happens later, what we have inside here. Our minikube, for sure, we will have also inside the Kubernetes cluster on IBM Cloud. We are looking to Kubernetes, and you here see here so the major sections of that blog post. My objective was in that blog post that I also generate an own operator API by using the Go SDK. So what that means, you will see. So the reason is, so we will not go through that. I just talk about that. When you build your own operator API using the Go SDK, is that you do not start with the memcache example, because the memcache example provides you all the example content for the memcache stuff. You can change it later, but maybe you do not know how everything is really related, and you start with that. And I want just to give you the chance, just go through that process, define your own operator, and that you know what all the folders and all the files are, so that maybe you take a look at by yourself in some of that, in addition what is created, and also that you see here when you create your own definition, for your operator, for the version, at least the API version for your for the Kubernetes API, that you know what you are doing, so at least a little bit. Okay, and in the blog post I also write here, if you only want to run the example front-end operator, you can skip that section and start with get a basic understanding of some parts in the operator implementation. So, and that is what we will do. We will not do all that stuff, because that will be later not reused. So let me go to the section here, and I now copy and paste the commands inside my Visual Studio Code. I have here Visual Studio Code environment. I'm already connected to the to my IBM Cloud Kubernetes cluster. So let me say here kube control get pods, and you can see here we are here in the default, and there are no resources at the moment, but pods is known. That's given from the Kubernetes API, and here is also the cluster. So the cluster is running, and currently there is nothing in. Okay, so let's start. Now we copy and paste the command into here. So we created now a new folder, an empty folder here. And now we clone my example GitHub project, because I created a GitHub project with the implementation, yeah, of that example already. So you can take a look at that. So first of all, we clone it, and then we take a look into the GitHub project. So we clone it here. So let us take a look here. We can directly open up. And so yeah, this was on my second screen, and I will, I guess, just take it here, open up a new one. Now I reuse it here, and you can see that's the example. Here's the code, yeah, and you can use it also if you want. Okay, move on. We have cloned it, and now we are going to the folder, yeah, where the operator is implemented. So let me go here up. So we see here, and now we have it also on that side. So maybe a little bit bigger, so that you really can, yeah. So here, okay, yeah. So you can see how the organization is. That's the API, yeah, our API definition for our operator here. And here's the controller. Here we have the controller implementation, yeah. And we will take a closer look into several topics after the application is running. So that is not, we follow not the entire flow which is given here. So here I give an overview on the different content inside the implementation. Yeah, we skip that first, and later on we take a look into that topics, and we will take a look in the implementation. So here, that is add the folder. Yeah, so we have, I already have done that, and if you just want to run the operator, you can skip this section and move on with section 3. So let us directly go to section 3. You can see there's a lot of information. So, but before we really go through that and we do all that stuff, I want to show you here what will later happen. So a little bit later we do verify here that we are in the right here, that we are in the right folder. So, and now I will run the make command to create the operator once again here. So with all the setup I already did in contact with the Go, you have to verify that the Go is running and so on. And for that, I suggest you, if you maybe have problems, please only install, if you are new with Go and new with the operator SDK, a new running Mac, only use the installation with brew, yeah, with the operator SDK, and the operator SDK all installs all that stuff for you. And I want to highlight that also have blog post for that. Yeah, when you take a look here, yeah, fatal error POST-SCAFFOLD. Yeah, so that is what I had, and here I give you some advices. So if it runs on your side and everything is okay, no problem. But that if you, in case you have some problems, or maybe avoid some problems, just do that. Okay, so with that, we are in a situation that is generated. So let's say clear. So we have it here, and now we see here we define a specification, a specification for our operator, which later, and here we have the config, and here is also an example. When we do the next command, we do execute the next command here, when we create the manifests. So that is normally what is also done here. So when we have all that, that's all because it's already done. I have also created stuff. When we do that here, here's an example what we see later on. We will have kind of tendency front end. That means when we say later, for example, cube control get tendency front end, we can see here at the moment the server doesn't have that type, and that is very important to understand when we see this in context here for the reconcile and so on. At the moment we don't have the type here, so we can also not create instances of that, and our operator will extend the Kubernetes API with the custom resource definition, and then we can query on that. So now let us start the operator locally. So here, now we start the operator locally. So to do that, so we had that. We do not need to start up the Minikube, because Minikube we do not use Minikube. Now we use the command make install, and when we use the make install here, so make that clear. So then the operator starts on our local machine and observes the Kubernetes API and is in contact with our Kubernetes cluster. So when we do that, so we can see that's with the go. It starts with the main, runs, and now we can see it is running. And now let us test. So I will create a new integrated terminal. Different commands I used sometimes before. You can see, no resource found in the default namespace. That's different. That's different to what we had before. Now Kubernetes knows these type, these resource type. So and for sure we have nothing at the moment deployed here on our cluster. Yeah? Nothing is deployed on the cluster. So when we are going now to deploy with our operator that to the Kubernetes, yeah, how we do that. So now we know there's a custom resource, and what does the custom resource do? So we have here in our API definition two things now. Here now we have a size, yeah, and a display name. Yeah, that is what we define inside our implementation for the API. Yeah, and with that we take a look in the config in example, and with that we see here that is what is later on used, and that is what we will use in our reconcile function, and also to define information. That means here I will use that information that the front end, the name inside the front end, we can see that this is used, so that we will use, and this is the number here of the instances. So we have and now we can take a look. What does that mean? Yeah, so because I think that is very important. Now we have the information with the type definition, which is here. You know, we have here the type definition, and now we go inside the controller and we take a look where is that taken. So we have now the reconcile. Maybe I really need a little bit smaller. I hope that is still viewable. So that is our reconcile here, as you can see, and we verify, does one of that custom resources exist? Yeah, we get the information is there, and then we get first we get that type, and then we search inside the namespace which is given if there is such type given, yeah, and then we get it. And if there is an error, there is no object found, yeah, so it's if there is an error, yeah, then we have no object here, though that is what we see here, and we get that result. Later on we will define that we will create one, yeah. So when we see that here, so when we see that is if the errors we had at the beginning here, it's a not object found, if that is given, and we do not find here a deployment, that means that's the next. First of all, we need the custom resource information, and then we verify if there isn't deployment. And then I think that now it's good not only to see the source code. Now we take also a look into a diagram. Yeah. So now we got that custom resource. Yeah. So we see, oh, there's a custom resource. What now the responsibility is from our operator in a reconcile loop is really to verify, okay, does later on the deployment exist, and it will also create service specification and secrets. Yeah, and in our case we will later on see the deployment is mapped here to secrets. So with that, yeah, when we take a look at that, you know, that is what happens here. But I think now it's good also to create an instance so that we can follow up on that and take a look into the created instance. I think that's good. So, and as you see, as this is an example definition, we now we have here our running. Yeah, here's our running operator. Currently, there is no instance, no custom resource given, so we can see also here currently with the custom resource definitions, we can see here that's our custom resource definition, yeah, for the front end. Yeah, so that is the definition. We can also take a look at the how the definition looks like. Yeah, that is the definition for the custom resource itself. And now we will create a custom resource, not the definition of, so we now create for us here a custom resource. So now that means here, so I create once more an additional terminal. Yeah, go back to our example, our blog post here, or my blog post. Yeah, so, and I just can copy the command. I always want to show you that it's here. We've copied the command. You can just copy the command here, and then here we insert it, and now we will create it. And now we can see here, there's several things happen now. Okay, what has happened? So let us now take a look inside the cluster. So here, inside that namespace. Now we have and deployment. And deployment was created. You have seen there was a first of all, is there a custom resource we have here, and thus for that custom resource, that means now that's very important to understand, I would say. So we have here custom resource. Yeah. So once again, when this with the front end. At the moment here, it directly took it and it directly creates the deployment. So we do not see here at the moment directly the resource itself. Okay. So which we used because that's so we used it and we observed that, and we used that with the information here to create it. So that means here, when we go now to the, we can maybe also take a look at all workspaces, all spaces. That's our custom resource definition. But what we created now, based on that specification here, so we now, here you can see that's the object. Sorry, what I mean. That's the object which is created by the definition here of the custom resource. That means that is our object. Yeah. So that is what was created based on the information we got here, and what was created as the extension of the Kubernetes API. So when we take a look here, that is what we did when you remember with the display name, yeah, and the front end display. Yeah, you can see. What we also can verify in our Kubernetes cluster now, we have secrets. We created secrets. These two secrets were created by us 2 minutes ago, and we have no config maps, but we have the deployment. So, and the deployment, with that deployment we created that pod, which is here. And now with the next step, we want really to access our front-end application. So I go to the next diagram. So what we did, with that all that stuff, at least. So we created a pod. The specification was given inside the specification how to create our deployment and all that other stuff was given, and then a pod was created. And now I want also, before we do the next step, I think then that's a good context here. We go to our to the blog post again. It is very important when you deploy something with your operator that you are really familiar with Kubernetes, here, what you are going really to deploy and what is your container doing, or what you are doing inside Kubernetes itself. What do you want to observe with existing, maybe with existing API functionality? Maybe you directly reuse POST information and other information directly, and you do not create an additional stuff, so you just observe the existing API. You can also use that. But now here I want to give you the I want to highlight here, and you see that's the deployment file for the application. When we take a look at that, the given deployment file we can find also in the GitHub project here. That's the deployment file of the front-end application, of the original one. So, and what I need to do, I need to examine what's here, what is specified here, and then reflect these inside my operator when I later want really to deploy that. That means I create exactly what is needed to create, so that the Kubernetes API understands that, and based on that information, on that deployment information, it creates the pod with the right container. So you can see here I use the container I defined in my in Quay. You can see here, take a look. Oh, that's my container. It's just for example, and that's here. And now we need to understand how to reuse the information we provided when you remember, when we created that stuff, we provided the information of the name, what is later on for the name, also for the object, which is based on the it's good here to see the object which is based. When we go back here for the custom resource definition, that's the front end, the object which is based on our definition. So on our definition. So that's the name. That here. So that's the name. And now when we take a look inside the deployment, so that you understand the deployment, the name of the deployment is exactly the name we used for the specification of that object which will be instantiated here. So that means I call it the custom resource here. So, and with that, when we take a look at that here in the code, going back to the code, or maybe it's easier in the blog post. So when we have that, defined, all that stuff, what's here, so we know that. So now here we are inside the source code. So here, that is the definition, of the normal deployment, and that is what we used for our definition here, in the implementation, as I said. Now here that is where I pointed through, and now you can see you really need to get familiar with the definition which is given here when you in Go. I open up it with the package already. So how to use that inside Go, so that for the interaction with Kubernetes. So when we have that, and that was a lot to do. And going back now, I said that with the name, and what you see here, the metadata, the name of our deployment, is the name which is specified of that object. So that's the reason why you see it here with that name. And when you take a look here later on, a little bit deeper, we go deeper, you can see here front end, specification, display name. And that is exactly what I use here in my front-end application to display the name. Yeah, so I don't want to go too deep into how that works, but that is here, yeah, what to do. And that's the reason why we really need to know how is it deployed and what we really want to specify by ourselves inside our operator when we implement that. The next topic is that we want really to connect to our front-end application, yeah, and therefore our services are also defined. And to do that, we go back to the run the operator locally. So, and now we go to the topic that we now going to grab the information, to get the information of the service we have created. So the service we have created is, let me show you. Here's the service, and that's our service. Yeah, I also reuse the name here. So, and that's now the mapping. Yeah, with that selector, with the name of the application, the service knows how to route, and that is the routing here to that pod. Yeah, with the right, so, and with our specification that service here is a NodePort. Yeah. Here we see where's that's class type. The type NodePort we can see here. That's the type NodePort. And what we now do, we get here we get a NodePort. So first of all, we want to get the NodePort of the application, and that happens here in a different part. Clear. Yeah, so that's now we have that NodePort. And now what we need the IP address of the worker node. So let us take a look in a diagram. Yeah, so we now want, later on, we want from the browser, we go to that service. That service, yeah, knows over the worker node with the NodePort, and the service knows, okay, hey, I'm called now with that port information, yeah, so I'm responsible to route to the application here, which is listening on port 8080, yeah, and that is what happens. So, and with that, we need the worker node IP. So the worker node IP, and here, yeah, for sure, we need to insert the cluster name. And the cluster name, I have an add-on here installed, which gives me the information where I am currently logged in on which cluster. You can see that cluster name is livestream. So, and now we get the IP address. So, and make for me my life easier, I say here, so open, copy, HTTP, so then copy, yeah, it's opened on my second screen, but now I want also to open it from here. I just say here echo. So we see only that's the URL. And when we open up now, or we copy that URL into our browser here, you know, remember, yeah, my front-end display name. So, and that is what happens, yeah. And when we go back here, it is good to understand what was all defined by us. And the secret, now maybe that's not so interesting, but that with the service definition, especially now we used here the NodePort stuff, it is interesting that we define here the service NodePort. And then we need really to map the name, yeah, the name what we used here consistently. What you see in the name was used of the name of that object we defined, yeah. So, and with that, go that here with that name. We have that name that's here specified in that namespace. We have the port information, yeah, which must be here, which is here the 8080. That's the port definition for our container, yeah, where the container is running. And here the selector name, yeah, that's also that's the value which is here given. That is the value pair, so that what you have seen with the app, yeah, with the app, and the name of the application, the service knows where to go. Yeah, and that's, yeah, for sure you need to know that, yeah. So otherwise you cannot really write the operator to do that. So the first step is really to understand, yeah, what you want to do, and then get exactly that, yeah, implemented. And for that I also created now a new blog post. Not so. So additional to that blog post. So what you need: basic understanding, operator capabilities. You need really the application, yeah, the architecture, what needs to be utilized in Kubernetes or in OpenShift with the operator, how to manage and set up, yeah. What are additional services you maybe want to set up and all that stuff, yeah. So, and with that, yeah, we have it really running here. So that is the walkthrough, yeah. It's not directly, I don't directly follow the steps I wrote here, and as I write at the beginning of that blog post, it is also not really a workshop or something like that. You can use it, yeah, you can follow it, but at first it's just a cheat sheet, yeah, to understand different dependencies. And yeah, and I want to share that with you, that you get also better or easier understanding or a different point of view, yeah, from my side. And we can have once again a short run through to the as a recap what we did here in the diagram. Yeah, we defined, yeah, we have a running operator which observes now the Kubernetes. What I maybe could also write down here, that I created a custom resource which has objects. I also said it's custom resource, but maybe it's better to say really it's the object of the custom resource definition. Yeah, so to make that even more clear, so that's the custom resource definition is already here. And when we create an object of that kind of custom resource definition, yeah, then if that was created, yeah, so we created here, so that's maybe better to say, hey, yeah, that was created here, and it finds it here. It says, oh yeah, now I follow all the instructions in my reconcile, yeah, and I observe maybe is that already there? Is there already an object? Have I to update that and so on, yeah. And as you will see here, this is what we are going to create. We do not create, in that case, the pod is created as by our deployment. So we do not directly create a pod. That means the pod is created by our deployment with the instructions of the desired state. Yeah, and here is the container, and later with the service specification we have here, so we are able to do that, to access the application. So, yeah, I would say, yeah, that's a bit to understand, and that is also the combination I made here, and I will also link that into that blog post, that live stream. Yeah, so is some additional I would like to add to that. Yeah, so we did it successfully. Yeah, so here's easier overview. Yeah, one topic I want to add here is I used my container, yeah, which is running on Quay, you can see here. But you're not bound to use my container. I also said here maybe you build your own container, and you just need to go here to the project. Excuse me, what's here? And that's the front end, you can see. And here you can also take a look in the implementation, how the implementation works. And here is the Docker file. Yeah, you can see how it is here defined and how everything is set up. As you see here, an Nginx server is installed here to run the web application. The web application is built on Vue.js. So, and if you want to dig into that, how that works, and you can see here, yeah, the port 8080 we used. Yeah, and that is the entire stuff which is related to each other. So that is, yeah, it's a bit, yeah, we have, and I would say now, so going the magic of UBS again. Oh, yeah, I'm back again. Big. Yeah, I hope it was useful for you. Yeah, it was a lot, and I hope that yeah, the additional diagrams helped you a bit. Yeah, and take a look in the blog post. Maybe it helps you. And yeah, let's see what's next. Which topic I want to create an accidentally live stream. Yeah, as I said, today on my side, Sunday, and I wish you all the best. Keep safe. Yeah, and if you like it, what I'm doing, subscribe. I'm happy, and also always happy if you provide some feedback, or and maybe for motivate me to create a video, and maybe if based on some questions I will also create a video. And then I would say thank you for watching, and bye. And I want to fade out with my lovely song, yeah, Lazy Day. So maybe it was not so lazy for you. Yeah, it takes a bit to understand it. And I say bye. Now I need to stop the live stream. Yeah. I have to find the stop button. So, okay. Oh, I say once again bye. And see you maybe next time.